यमुना निकट तट स्थित वृंदावन कानने महारम्ये कल्पद्रुमतलभूमौ चरणं चरणो परिस्थाप्य तिष्ठन्तं घननीलं स्वतेजसा भासयन्तमिह विश्वम् पीताम्बरपरिधानं चन्दनकर्पूरयुक्तसर्वाङ्गं कर्णपूर्णनेत्रम् कुण्डलयुगमण्डितश्रवणम् मन्दस्मितमुखकमलम् सकौस्तुभोरार्मणिः वलया प्रियकाद्या नुज्ज्वलयन्तम् स्वारः प्रललितवनमालम् स्वतेजसा पास्कलिकालम् गुञ्जायमालिकलितम् गुञ्जान्विते शिरसि गुञ्जानं सर्वोपैः गुञ्जान्तर्वर्तिनं नमत विश्ववासित मन्दानिदसेवित परानन्दम् मन्दाकिरीटपदम् नमत महानन्ददम् महापुरुषम् सुरभिकृतदिग्वलयम् सुरभिषकैरावृतः परमः सुरभिमन्यादवम् नमत वृंदावन बिहारी लाल श्री रासेश्वरी राधा रानी की जगत गुरु श्री कृपालु जी महाराज की श्री राधा गोविंद धाम की जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे
गुरु ब्रह्मा वसुदेवं देवं कंसचारं नासाग्रे वरमौक्तिकं करतले वेणुकरैकं सर्वाङ्गीहरितं सुललितं कण्ठे च विस्तारम् गोपस्त्रीपरिविष्टितो गोपालचूडाम्
Mira, at the end you can sing Bhoti. What? You have to learn. That's your next project.
Hare Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram बोलो सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की। Radhe Radhe, welcome back to everyone. We are into the Aranyakand of the Ramayana as we're going through and just seeing the main highlights of each part of the Ramayana and learning the main devotional lessons and life lessons from Sri Ram and Sita Ji's Leelas. Yesterday I described for you how Ram once Bharat and King Janak and everyone had returned, leaving them at Chitrakoot. Not long after that, Ram left Chitrakoot, thinking that too many people would start coming there and it would disturb all the sages who were living peacefully there in the forest. So, as he traveled through the forest, he visited many sages, many ashrams. Along the way, he came across a big pile of bones, and he wondered, what is this? So one of the rishis told him that these are all bones of rishis that have been killed by demons. So then Ram took a vow to kill all the demons. rid the earth of demons, so that the rishis could live in peace. After that, with guidance he received from sage Agastya, who told him to go to Panchavati, he went there with Sita and Lakshman, and they began residing on the bank of Godavari river with the beautiful cover of the 5 big Vat ke Ped, the big banyan trees, in the location called Panchavati. I also related for you how Shurparnakha came, Ravan's sister, and in that Leela she lost her nose and she went complaining back to Khar and Dushan, 2 big generals of Ravan. So they came and tried to fight with Ram, but Ram single-handedly defeated their whole entire army, just Ram himself against the whole army of demons. And after that, he told Sita that until I kill all the demons, it's best for you to stay with Agni Dev. And Agni Dev personally, Agni Dev meaning the god of fire, personally came and took Sita Ji. And Sita left another form of hers, referred to as her Chaya Roop, a shadow form of Sita. And the real Sita stayed with Agni Dev. So after this, Shurparnakha, who by the way, remember yesterday I gave an example of Sita Ji's extreme kindness when she convinced Ram not to kill Jayant, who had come in the form of a crow and pecked her feet. In this case also, Sita Ji thought regarding Shurparnakha that she has come to God. So although it's against the Maryada, the way she approached him, and it's against the Varnashram Dharma, but any soul who comes to God should be rewarded. So with Sita Ji's grace, Shurparnakha became Kubja in her next life. Meaning when Ram came as Shri Krishna, Shurparnakha came as Kubja and lived in Mathura. And when Shri Krishna went to Mathura, on the very first day he reached Mathura, he met Kubja on the street, and she had prepared chandan, and she got the chance to apply it to Shri Krishna, and Shri Krishna straight, she was humpbacked, hence she was called Kubja. So Shri Krishna straightened her just with the touch of his hand. Now in this avatar, as Ravan's younger sister, she went and complained to Ravan that this has happened. Ram and Lakshman have insulted me and thus insulted you in this way. And of course they did that to incite Ravan because they wanted a conflict with him. And only in that way Ram would get the chance to remove all the demons from earth. So Ravan made up his mind to go and fight Ram. But he's thinking that Ram killed Khar and Dushan. No ordinary man could do that. There's no one on earth who could beat them because they're my servants. And even Yamraj trembles before me. The sun and the moon obey my orders. And Khar and Dushan are no less than me. So it means no less than God himself could have defeated Khar and Dushan. He's thinking to himself. But then he thinks, Itham vichintya khila rakshasendro Ramam viditva parameshwaram harim virodha buddhyaiva Harim prayami drutam na bhaktya bhagavan prasidet. Adhyatma Ramayana. Ravan thinks to himself, I could just devote myself to Shri Ram's feet. I could just worship him, but he would not be so quickly pleased as that, as if I fight against him. Bhagavan Drutam na bhaktya Bhagavan prasidet. I would not be able to please him so quickly by doing direct devotion to him as by fighting against him. I've received the body of a Rakshas, so I'm going to behave like one and I'm going to fight against him. This is what Ram wants in this Leela, so I'm going to serve him by doing that. He thought this to himself. And then he made up a plan. Okay, I'll get the help of Marich. So he went and saw Marich, who's another great powerful demon, and he asked him, he told him of a plan, that you go in the form of a golden deer and Ram will be distracted by you and then I'll abduct Sita. Marich is telling him, you fool, don't you know who he is? Earlier, when Vishwamitra came and brought him and he was protecting Vishwamitra's yajna, he hit me with one arrow and I flew 800 miles. You want to go and fight against him? It's craziness. He is God himself. Don't think of him just as a boy or the son of a king. Ravan became angry with him. How dare you speak to me in such a way? Can anyone stand against me? Showing his arrogance. So Marich said, if I keep arguing with him, Ravan himself is going to kill me. And if I follow this plan that Ravan has, Ram is going to kill me. So better to be killed by Ram than Ravan. So he said, let me not argue anymore. I'll go and become the deer and carry out Ravan's plan. So he goes. And Sita, Lakshman and Ram are there at their cottage, at their hut in Panchavati. And here comes Marich in the form of a beautiful deer that's lustrous and glowing, and depending which way the light shines on his skin, it's just incandescent. So Sita, seeing this deer, says, oh Ram, bring me this deer. It has such a beautiful skin. Ram, knowing full well what was happening, exactly who the deer was, what the plan was, where Ravan is, he knows exactly what's happening. But Sita said she wants the deer. Okay, I'll go get the deer. He tells Lakshman, there's a lot of demons roaming in this forest around here. You stay here and protect Sita. Under no circumstances leave her. So Ram went off chasing Marich in the form of that golden deer. Now Marich is basically in devotional heaven here, because he's having the darshan of Ram, and Ram is chasing him, and he's going out of sight, and then he's turning around and looking at Ram. So again and again he's seeing Ram, and he's just overflowing with his love for Ram. And eventually Ram hit him with the arrow and killed him, and Marich immediately went to Ram's divine abode. But as he was dying, in the voice of Ram, he yelled, Lakshman! In a very distressed way, so it would sound like Ram was calling for Lakshman's help. Lakshman heard that, but he wasn't about to disobey Ram. Ram told him, under no circumstances do you leave Sita unguarded. But Sita really let him have it. Ram is in trouble, he's calling for you. How dare you disobey me? You go and help him right now. Now Lakshman had no choice. He had to obey Sita. So he left Sita unattended and he went to try to help Ram. In the meantime, of course, Ravan comes, and through many tricky ways, he ends up being able to abduct Sita and put her in the chariot and carry her off. Ram sees Lakshman coming and says, what are you doing? He says, it's not my fault. He relates the whole story to Ram. Ram says, oh yes, okay. He says, I have a pretty good feeling we're not going to find Sita at the cottage when we get back there. Now Ravan is putting Sita in his aerial chariot. And Sita says to him, you know what you're like? You're like a rabbit who wants to marry a lioness. What's going to be the outcome of that lioness? Just now my Pati Dev, my Lord, is here. Thehro thoda, zara thehriye, hang around a little bit more. Just now my Ram is on his way. You'll see what happens to you. So Ravan externally became furious, but in his heart, he was adoring Sita's lotus feet. He had pure devotion to her charan. So he put her in the chariot and drove off like a madman. He was so afraid Ram's coming. He just tore out of there in his chariot. Now, Jatayu, whom Ram and Sita and Lakshman had met earlier on their way to Panchavati, they had befriended him, they had spent time with him. Jatayu heard Sita's cries for help. Jatayu being a vulture. So to him, Sita was his daughter. He says, fear not, my daughter, I'm coming for you. And he came, even though Jatayu was very aged, he came with full anger and he grabbed Ravan by the hair and pulled him out of the chariot in midair and tossed him on the ground. And then he jumped on him and pecked him really hard and drew blood. And Ravan was unconscious for a full 30 minutes. But when he regained consciousness, he cut off Jatayu's wings and with his sword, and Jatayu fell to the earth. Ram and Lakshman, meanwhile, and now he again put Sita back in the chariot, because when Jatayu had struck Ravan, then he had taken Sita and hidden her. But again, Ravan found her, put her back in the chariot, and headed off towards Lanka. So along the way, Sita looked down at one point and she saw some monkeys. And she let one of her pieces of clothing drop so that they would find it. And they also heard her wailing, and they saw Ravan and Sita, and then they had that piece of cloth. And Ravan took her all the way to Lanka, in many ways to say, now forget about Ram, you belong to me, marry me. Of course, Sita refused, and Ravan had to keep her outside in the Ashok garden. She refused to even enter his palace. So Ram and Lakshman now set out in search of Sita. And first of all, they come upon Jatayu. When Ram finds Jatayu, he rushes to him, holds his head in his lap, and held him for his dying minutes. And Jatayu said, don't feel sad for me. You're here now with me as I die. My mind is absorbed in you. There are so many yogis and munis who spend their whole life trying to, they do devotion to you with this goal that at the last minute I should remember Ram. And here you are with me as I'm taking my last breath. So I couldn't be any more happy. Ram said, of course, you're going to my divine abode. But when you get there, don't tell my father Dashrath about any of this, meaning about Sita's being abducted. Why not? He says, because when I kill Ravan, he can go there and tell him himself. And then Jatayu passed away and went to Ram's divine abode. It actually says that when Jatayu came out of his body, then he received a form exactly like Ram. Like Ram's almighty form, actually. He received a form with 4 arms, holding the chakra, shankh, padma, gada. It's a form of liberation, actually. It's called sarupya mukti, where the devotee, if he desires, can get an appearance, can get a body just like God's almighty form, just like Vishnu. So this is the type of liberation that Jatayu received. Now Ram and Lakshman are traveling through the forest in search of Sita, and at this point, Ram reveals to the world something very special that people can't understand. He revealed the state of viraha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji says about the state of viraha that it is even greater than the state of milan. For a devotee, here God himself is revealing the state of viraha. Sangam viraha vikalpe vayamiha viraho na sangamastasmat sange sa iha tathaikas tribhuvanam api tanmayam virahe. In Milan, when a devotee meets with God or when God meets with God, in other words, Sita and Ram are God, right? Sita herself is Ram, Ram himself is Sita. So both are eternally one, and yet in this divine state, it's a state of divine love. Even though Sita and Ram are one, they feel separation from each other. How is it possible to feel separation in a state of absolute unity? It's beyond material intellect. Sita is sitting in Ashok Van. She's feeling so much separation from Ram that every second feels like a whole kalp, a whole day of Brahma. And Ram is in so much separation from Sita that he's forgotten who he is. So in this state, see, in the state of Milan, Ram sees Sita at one place. Milan means meeting. Sita sees Ram at one place. And since Sita and Ram are the very form of divine bliss, they experience unlimited divine bliss in that state of Milan. Then what happens in the state of viraha? Are they bereft of that bliss? No, what happens is in the state of longing to meet again, the whole world becomes the form of Ram. The whole world becomes the form of Sita. So it's an even higher state than the state of Milan. But what does it look like from outside? If we were to see Ram in this state of viraha, it looks like a person who's just in separation from his wife and perhaps has lost his mind. He's so heartbroken, he's lost his normal functioning mind. That's what it would appear to us. Re vriksha parvatastha girigahanalata vayuna vijyamana ramoham vyakulatma dasharatha tanayah shok shukrena dagdha bimboshthi charunetri suvipula jaghana badhranage kanchi ha sita kenanita mama hridaya gata ko bhavan kena drishta. Valmiki Ramayana. Ram is wandering through the forest and he's calling out, "Oh hills, mountains, oh trees, re vriksha parvatastha, oh wind, oh plants, birds, deer. Have any of you seen my Sita? She has lips red like the bimba fruit. Her eyes are beautiful like a deer's eyes. I am the son of Dashrath and I'm so lost without my Sita. Somebody please tell me, have you seen her? Kena drishta?" Of course, no one is answering him. How is a mountain going to answer him? How is the wind going to answer him? So we would say this because we would see Ram with our material eyes. And we would judge him like us. We would be unaware of this divine state of viraha. And we would say, this Ram is more attached to his wife than any material person. He's broken the record for attachment. And you're saying he's God? Now remember back to the very first day when I told you that Parvati saw Ram in this state. And Shivji saw Ram in this state, and Shivji went and did pranam to him, saying, Kahi Satchidananda Paradhama. He said, oh, this is Satchidananda Brahm. And Parvati said, Brahma jo vyapak viraj aj akal aniha abheda kohi deha dhari hoya nar jahi na janat ved. How can this be Brahm? Satchidananda Brahm. He's suffering in separation from his wife. God is the one who has no attachment to anyone. He's self-complacent, happy in and of himself. वो आत्माराम पूर्ण काम है. वो क्यों रोएगा? ब्रह्म, सच्चिदानंद ब्रह्म. तो पार्वती भ्रमित हो गई. She got totally confused. The same thing would have happened to us. Of course, Parvati was just acting to teach us a lesson. Don't do what I've done. It's, oh, human beings, it's your nature to see God and analyze him according to your own material understanding. Don't do that. Big mistake. अपनी बुद्धि को संभालो, उसको रोको. वहां मत जाओ, मर जाओगे. Garudaji bhi, later on you'll hear during the battle when Garudaji saw Ram all tied up by the snake arrow fired by Meghnad, he also became confused. How could God get tied up by a little snake arrow? Is he really God? He also had to go and find help. Only Kagbhushundi could undo that knot of confusion. So anyway, my point is that don't interpret God's leelas according to material understanding. And since all we have is material understanding, that means don't interpret that, period. Therefore, devotional remembrance. Just know that Ram is revealing a great divine state. Koham bruhi sakhe. He says he enters even into a higher state of vira, and he says to Lakshman, oh my friend, main kaun hu? Koham. Who am I? Lakshman says, aap to Arya hai. Arya? Ah, yes, you're the crown prince. Who's crown prince? You're the son of Dasharath. Ram. अच्छा, मैं राम हूं. आप कौन है? मैं आपका दास लक्ष्मण हूं. I'm your servant Lakshman. अच्छा, मैं राम हूं, आप लक्ष्मण हैं. अच्छा, तो एक बात बताओ, हम यहाँ जंगल में क्यों घूम रहे हैं? Tell me please, why are we wandering around in the jungle? Lakshman says we're looking for the daughter of King Janak. Ram says, Ha Janaki, and he faints. And when he wakes up again, Koham bruhi sakhe, same thing over again. My friend, tell me, who am I? You're Ram. He's so absorbed in that state of vira, such a high state. Leave that door open, it gets too hot. So, In this state, Ram is wandering, looking for Sita, absorbed in this state of viraha. And he comes to the ashram of Shabari. Now, Shabari is a devotee, a disciple of Matanga Muni. And Matanga Muni had explained to Shabari that in this very life, Ram is going to come to your hut here in the jungle. You are such a great devotee of him. He is going to come and visit you. So Shabari sat every day outside of her hut. She went in the jungle and gathered flowers for Ram, petaled those flowers, spread those petals on the path leading up to her hut, and humbly waited for Ram. And every day she picked fruits and made sure they were sweet fruits to offer to him. Waiting, thinking if he comes, I should have something to offer. So today she had picked bear, a plum that grows on a tree, small plum. And before Ram had come, she had picked them and she had them all there eating. And she sat just looking at the path, waiting, when will my Lord come? When will my Ram come? So it's said that if you want to know how far your progress in bhakti is, you should think about the sincerity of your longing to meet Ram. Sometimes we want to know, like, how far am I along the devotional path? How long will I have to wait for Ram to come to me? When will he come to me? So the answer is, how warm is that hope that you have for meeting him? How strong is the desire? How restless are you to meet him? Shabari had full confidence. How many of us would wait outside of our hut day after day that my beloved is going to be coming any day now? Just now he could be coming any moment. She's waiting day after day with that kind of sincere faith that her beloved Ram is going to come. Just now he's going to be coming. Attentiveness, watching the path, waiting for Ram. So how close are we to that state? Sincerely, I mean, not pretending. Until we reach that state, as they say, fake it until you make it. We're not that sincere yet. It's okay if we fake it. Meaning we should try to develop, try to become like Shabari. But we know in our heart how close we actually are to that state and how far we actually have to go. How much do we really believe that if we wanted Ram to come to us, he would come? So that if we examine our devotional feelings in that way, then we know how much further, how far we've come, how sincere our desire is, how true our hope is. That's how far we've made it. And whatever is lacking is how far we have to go. So you can probably judge it in percentages. Maybe we've made it 5% of the way. It's better than 2%. Maybe you've made it 20% of the way. That's even better. So we've made some progress, but we still have further to go. That day was the last day that Shabari had to wait for Ram. So Ram and Lakshman came on that path that she'd been waiting for years. And when they came, she of course fell at Ram's feet, got the chance to touch the feet of Sri Ram. She even had a seat prepared for him. She asked Ram and Lakshman to sit. She started by washing Ram's charan. She did charan pujan to Ram by keeping his lotus feet and just with some water, gently washing them as a form of showing respect to a guest who has come. And then she wanted to offer the bear to Ram. So she had all these bear, but as you know, a bear could be sweet or it could be sour. There's no way she could stand for offering a sour bear to Ram. So the only way she could decide which ones were going to be sweet and which ones were going to be sour was to first taste it herself. She didn't even think twice about maryada, about rules and regulations, that a devotee is supposed to take the uchishta, the food which has already been eaten of God, and take that as prasad. Would you ever eat food and then offer that to God as if you're above God and He's lucky to be receiving your leftovers? Kitna bada paap. And this is Maryada Purushottam Brahm, following the Dharm every step of the way. Khabardar. And here is Shabari, his devotee, eating a little taste of the bear and then saying, oh, this is sweet, here Ram, and putting it in his mouth. Thought for a second about the Maryada, that this is wrong. Ye ullanghan hai dharma ka, Maryada ka. The bounds of propriety. She should be punished. She should be sent to Narak for such a disrespect of God. Krishna is thinking, hey, what's she doing? And Ram is just taking that bear like we sing in our Bhog Geet every night. Jo ras shabari ke bear jhuthe mukh. Janakapur as ras nahi payo. The ras that Ram got from eating those bear, which were the jhuthe bear of Shabari, was many times more than the ras of that great feast which he enjoyed in Janakpur during that marriage ceremony of Ram and Sita. What he received from Shabari was much more enjoyable to him. So this is an example of how in the love of a devotee, all the rules go out the window. All those rules are for getting a devotee to God. All those Vedic rules, the do's and don'ts, vidhi nishedh. Brahma vid dhani. Ved itself says, the one who has known God, who has reached God, walks putting his feet on the heads of the Vedas. He no longer is beneath the Vedas. Now he's beyond the reach of Vedas. Ved is there to bring a soul to God. Once you reach God, all the do's and don'ts of Vedas, you are left behind. Once you graduate from kindergarten, you no longer have to take a nap at 1 p.m. for 30 minutes, right? When you're in high school, your teacher doesn't come to you and say, okay, it's nap time. Now everybody put your head on your desk. You might wish your teacher came to you and said that. But what I mean is, higher level, you don't follow the same rules you did when you were at a lower level. The same rules don't apply to all the levels. So a great devotee like Shabari is not bound by the same rules. We would, in real life, we would never try to act as Shabari. That would be as foolish as seeing an acrobat walking on a tightrope and us saying, oh, he's doing it, I can also do it. Let me also climb up there and scamper across that wire. No, we would never think of doing that. We would say that acrobat is far beyond me in skill. Similarly, a devotee can never think of imitating the actions of a saint. So we should never think of imitating Shabari except in our meditation. In our meditation, we can also become Shabari, because in our meditation, there are no rules. We can love Ram, we can love Shri Krishna any way we want. In actual puja, you have to follow all the rules. But जो मन से आप पूजा करते हैं, उसमें कोई विधि निषेध नहीं है. इसलिए जगत गुरु श्री कृपाल जी महाराज कहते हैं कि मन से पूजा करो. Do devotion from your mind. If you like to do devotion physically as well, do some physical puja, jap, path, whatever it may be, that can be a helping factor, but the main devotion is done from the mind. This way Shabari received the divine vision of her beloved Ram, and she expressed to him that, Ram, how is it, my Lord, how is it such a lowly person as me? In the eyes of society, Shabari had a very low rank. She was an uneducated woman from a jungle tribe. No one would think of her as having a very high status. And Ram said, oh no, my devotee has no concern with any kind of status. He says, I look at the bhakti in a person's heart. He told his Ayodhya Vasis later when he was giving them a lecture after he returned to Ayodhya. He said, Bhagati heen biranchikin hoi sab jiva hinsa priya sab mohi hoi Bhagati vant ati nichahu prani mohi pran priya asimam bani. He says if someone is bereft of devotion, even if they're as great as Brahma, they are the same to me. It doesn't matter if they have, he names a few things. He says it doesn't matter if someone has a very high birth, their kul. It doesn't matter what their jati is to me, what job they do in society. It doesn't matter to me what their panti is, in other words, their rank, what kind of post do they have. It doesn't matter to me what their bal is, how much strength they have. It doesn't matter to me what their dharma is, to what religion they belong. It doesn't matter to me what their badai is, in other words, how great do others perceive them to be. It doesn't matter to me what their guna are, what kind of qualities they have that may be admired by others. To me, what their chaturai is, what their skill is. None of that matters to me. Their bhakti matters to me, pure, sincere bhakti. So the one who has devotion in their heart, that person is more dear to me than my own life. This I give you my word on. Asi mama bani, mohi prana priya. So he explained this to Shabari, and then he also explained to her Navadha Bhakti. Now the Navadha Bhakti explained by Sri Ram is a little bit different than the Navadha Bhakti that we hear about in the Bhagavatam. Although there are many kinds of bhakti, unlimited different ways to do bhakti, in the Bhagavatam, a certain 9 types of bhakti are described, and here, as Ram explains it to Shabari, a different 9 types of bhakti are described. And these 9 types of bhakti are also very valuable to learn about. But if I start that topic now, we're going to run out of time. So I'm going to save Ram's explanation of Navadha Bhakti that he gives to Shabari for tomorrow. And we'll also see how Shabari, Ram actually asks Shabari, do you know anything about Sita? So she tells him that although, I know you're just asking me as part of a Leela, you know everything. But if you go to Pampa Sarovar, over there you'll meet Sugriv, and he'll explain everything to you about Sita. So from there we'll pick up tomorrow. Bolo Saket Bihari Shri Raghavendra Sarkar ki. So we'll have a few minutes of kirtan. And I think this.
It's a little hard to see, right?
No. Does everyone else need a copy?
No, it's simple enough.
Okay.
Everyone will be able to follow along. Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram,
Chori Sita Chori Ram.
Chori Ram, Chori Sita, Chori Sita, Chori Ram.
Chori Ram,
बोलिए
Sita Chori Sita Chori Ram.
Sita Ram, 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 Sita Sitaram, 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 Prabhu Ram Bane Sita, Prabhu Sita Bane Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Prabhu Ram Bane Sita, Prabhu Sita Bane Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Prabhu Ram Bane Sita, Prabhu Sita Bane Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Prabhu Ram Bane Sita, Prabhu Sita Bane Ram.
Prabhu Ram Bane Sita, Prabhu Sita Bane Ram.
Prabhu Ram Bane Sita, Prabhu Sita Bane Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Prabhu Ram Bane Sita, Prabhu Sita Bane Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Prabhu Ram Bane Sita, Prabhu Sita Bane Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Ram, Jai Sita, Jai Sita, Jai Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Ram, Jai Sita, Jai Sita, Jai Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Ram, Jai Sita, Jai Sita, Jai Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Ram, Jai Sita, Jai Sita, Jai Ram.
Sitaram, 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 Ek Sitaram, Ek Roop Dvainam.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram, Ek Roop Dvainam.
Sitaram, 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 Ek Sitaram, Ek Roop Dvainam.
Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram, Ek Roop Dvainam.
Ek Sitaram, Ek Roop Dvainam.
Sitaram, Ek Roop Dvainam.
Ek Sitaram, Ek Roop Dvainam.
Sitaram, Ek Roop
Sitaram, 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 Govind, Sitaram, Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Govind, Sitaram,
बोलो राघवेंद्र सरकार की।
Sonia, you want to sing? आप करेंगे?